Well, look at that for a wild sea. It's been very stormy the last kind of 24 hours. Thankfully, we've got a nice clear sky, so although it is very cold, certainly in the shade, it's not so bad in general today. But I thought I'd bring you on a tour of what we're doing here, what's going on with this car. So, let me just shimmy under here. So this is the nicely prepped, I wouldn't say nicely, it is adequately prepped kind of cavity that the subframe and the differential and the drive shafts and the suspension and all that stuff that I pulled out of the car sits in. And we have a few issues. The first thing is the weather has been holding. It's go and stop and go and stop because the rain is starting and stopping and starting and stopping. But these overalls, I'm going to talk about these again, right? Because they're Carhartt. Okay, I don't think I ever mentioned that before. These ones are Carhartt. They're called Arctic overalls or Duck. I think Carhartt called them Duck overalls, DUCK. They're quilted on the inside, and I just wouldn't be doing this without them. I couldn't. It's just that's kind of where my resolve would end. Although, back when I was younger, I did do stuff like this without kind of quilted overalls. But look, I can't recommend them enough. This pair is nigh on toast, but it was old when I got it. I have a new pair on the way. You can get them on, eBay or whatever for, if you watch and kind of keep your eye out, you can get them for like $80, $90, including postage, maybe a little bit more. They're closer to 200 new, so that is a good deal, and they wear so incredibly well. You will have them for years and years and years. I mean, provided you're not doing stupid things with them. Anyway, I found them incredibly difficult to size. I first got it, I don't know why, it's kind of stupid. Well, like I said, I had difficulty with it, but I got a pair of 36 regular. And what I've realised now is that you pretty much, well, it seems to go with your jacket size, really. Because then I got a pair of 38 tall. I actually had the seller measure them, and they do fit me, but they're a bit snug. So there's a pair of 40 regular on the way. And I would take a 40 regular jacket-ish. The other thing is that this pair is massive. They were way bigger than me, and I found that brilliant. I think I've said that before. Once you can put your booted foot through the legs zip open on them anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But if you can get them on when you're already fully dressed, I've got a full complement of clothes on underneath these, and it's perfect. My hands are now very cold, but the rest of me isn't. So there you go. What's going on with this, apart from the weather holding us up? Right, well, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this. So that is where there should be a rubber bump stop. Is my hand in the shot? No, it isn't. That's where there should be a rubber bump stop, okay? And you can see I've wire brushed this all back. It was full of some sort of filler, right? To cover up decay. So I'm going to... Look, I've been fighting, and there's probably a day lost in indecision here, if you know what I mean. Like, I kind of fluted around, not sure how far I was going to go. But essentially, this is toast here. It's just basically a seat for the bump stop, and it has a tab where it's spot welded up here, and it has a tab where it's spot welded down here. So the body is underneath, and this was just spot welded on. So easily fabricated again, or I can fabricate it again and replace it, and in the meantime fix what's underneath it that's rotten. And this is really the only rot in the car. I've almost fixed. I fixed a piece that was here. You're going to see it in the video. I hope that's in shot. And there's another piece there where there's a bracket that mounts to stabilize the bolt for the subframe. I've cut this section out and a piece under there, and I have the piece made, and I went to weld it yesterday, and my little welder has given up the ghost. I haven't started using the Artec ones yet, largely because of my own bad. I didn't realise there was a regulator in the box with them, and I was kind of trying to find the money for a regulator, and I rang Artec and I emailed Artec and I said, listen, what is there any specific regulator I need? And they said, well, there's one in the box, but get whatever one you want. I felt kind of silly that day. So I've just done an account with the gas people, BOC, and I will be picking up my gas maybe even today. But in the meantime, I have plenty to do. Is there anything else under here you need to know about? It's like I say, I've prepped it. I pulled all this back with the wire brush and primed it, and then that's the first overcoat of black, just black paint. It's not a comprehensive job. I only did where I needed to do that I won't be able to get to, when everything goes back in. But obviously I will be doing these sections too. And it really is, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it really is the only rot in the car. The car is very solid. Otherwise, there is a patch there where it's been filled, but that's just floor pan. But I mean, can you see? I hope this is in shot. Look at that. The car is in great nick. And that's why we bought it. Now, let me get out from under here. Oh, there is other stuff. So these brake lines here are looking very crusty. This is after a heavy wire brushing with a knotted wheel, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. But these lines, I've had the calipers hanging from these lines now for 2 weeks. And while I was working, I had to release all the fuel lines and the brake lines. You see them running here? So they're loose at the moment because I've released a couple of brackets. And this brake line, hang on a sec, this brake line up here, it's going out up into the inner arch because I've bent it out over there because it broke. It was corroded. I hope that's in shot. Yeah, this is the other end of it. So I'm going to have to replace that section. There is a union just over here. Are we in shot? I hope so. So I'm going to replace that section. And the other thing I found with the brakes is... Hang on, I'm getting myself in knots here. Oh God, I've tied myself around the handbrake cable with the microphone. This will just take a sec. There we go. Thank you for holding, caller. Okay, last thing under here, a very, very crusty brake caliper, and I have it soaking. You can probably see I have it kind of already soaking. Hopefully a good judicious application of heat and torque will take this out without wrecking everything. The other caliper is surprisingly good. I don't know why this one is so bad. It looks like somebody poured salt on it and then just left it. We have a bit of an issue here. That at my thumb, let me get close. You see that above my thumb there? That's the remains of the bleed nipple, and it looks very much just welded in there, and it's going to be touch and go getting that out. Initial research would suggest that bleed nipples on calipers aren't all the same size, which I kind of hoped they were. I hoped it was into the motor factors and they'd be off the shelf for a couple of pence each, but they're not. There are at least two different sizes that I've seen so far, M7 and M10, both a 1mm pitch on the thread. We're going into the shed because my hands are now freezing, so I'll have to sort that out too. And you can get stainless brake bleeding nipples, and I'm wondering whether that's the thing to do. I think maintenance is probably what keeps a brake nipple from seizing up like that. Routine servicing as a car should be. But if you know any different about bleed nipples being stainless or not, then do tell me. I have a nice fresh reel of cunifer. It's not actually copper, it's cunifer. Now I wanted to talk to you about all of that wire wheeling, because this is something that I found. I'm starting to formulate a realization that you need to work smart with your tools in a sense of saving your body, saving your hands, and also for your pocket. This is the wire wheel, the preferred wire wheel of choice, a knotted wire wheel. This is the only one to get, and I'll tell you why. The other ones that are more conventionally like a wire brush, this is what one looks like when it's completely worn out. but you see it's just loose packed wire. It would have been very much like this when it was new, just a wire brush. In fact, this one's better than that, but that's for a drill, obviously. These ones don't last spitting distance. Like when you're doing stuff as heavily as you need to do on a car that's rusted, well rusted, this is useless. And they're only a few euros cheaper than the knotted ones, but you'd go through two of these in the same job that would not wear out a knotted wire wheel. The second thing I want to say is this is the bigger size. Let me put one in the other one. You see the size difference there? This is not the biggest size. This is kind of a medium size, but even this on a small grinder is too much. This was knotted as well, by the way, and it's what I've been using actually until I got to the shop, but it's still incredibly abrasive like that. It just won't cover the same surface area as quickly. You will ruin your hands with that on the end of there's so much torque and weight and power when you actually press it against the metal. It wants to run away, that your hands fatigue incredibly quickly and become very, very sore, which is not productive and it's not good for you. So just there you go, buy the small sized knotted wire wheel, in lieu of obviously media blasting or whatever other way you're going to get heavy corrosion off thick metal like trailing arms and stuff. We've got two painted springs here. They've had a coat of what's it called, primer, and I did a top coat last night in time lapse, which is made a very nice little time lapse sequence. It's going to be like 3 seconds long max, but it's fun to see paint kind of coiling its way down a spring. I think that's it. It's now 12 minutes in, so I should probably let you go. I have the subframe and both replacement trailing arms completely prepped, completely painted with multiple coats. Those are the originals, kept because we actually had only got these replaced. You can see they still have paint on them very recently, and they don't come out without taking the bearings out of the hub, basically taking the hub off. But I want those. They're in very good nick, and there's some other salvageable parts here, but look how bad. This was the offending trailing arm. The other one, as you can see there, is not nearly as bad, but on the other side it has hold. So they're the old hubs. The trailing arms, the new ones, and the subframe are in my bedroom. That's the way it is. I don't have any space. Oh, I do have other things to talk to you about. Let's just go back in here for a sec. So what I'm going to do with those now, and I've been waiting for the weather to give me just a decent window, I am going to hit those with, it's not in here, I bought a couple of litres of Underseal. I'm not sure whether it's hard drying Underseal or not, but either way, all of the components, those main components, are getting hit with Underseal, right, with a Schutz gun, and they'll dry off, and then I'll assemble it all and put it back in, and that cavity up underneath the car will also be Undersealed, so that we are future proofing. Essentially, we're future proofing the work, this effort that we're putting in here, because my god, it's like I said the last time, it's getting old. I do have a greater plan formulating in terms of a workshop build. I am expecting, without holding my breath, a piece of equipment that will make fabricating the frame of a building a lot more interesting. I won't say it will make it easier, but it will make it a lot more interesting above anything else. And I think when you've got interest in something, then you're all the more likely to have a lot of energy for it. So I'm getting quite excited. I have my pal is an architect. He is working on designs. I gave him a brief, and it was a fairly specific brief, so he's kind of working on that. I hope to sit down with him soon and knock it out so that we have plans that can go into planning. And then once we've got planning, I can be producing videos about building your own workshop at home, which I've said it before, I'll be very excited about. I won't say any more about that now because, like I say, it's a forming plan. there is a great guy called Dave amongst us who has worked on steel framed buildings and is currently building his own steel framed workshop, a very big one, like 18 meters by 10 meters, something like that, a nice size. And he showed me some photographs of his uprights and frames and joists and webbing and all sorts of stuff, and it's very, very cool stuff. And I'm excited that I'm excited that he's there because he's got experience. And he assured me that even with the welders I got from Artec that we could do this. So cool things. I'm going now to try and find. I've run out of steel, by the way. I am literally operating out of a crappy little look. This is what's left of, you see there's an end of the preformed sills sections for the Range Rover, the grey bit sticking out there, but the rest of that is all of that's new steel. That's all I've got left from an 8x4 foot sheet, and it's not enough to do the repairs I need. It's just not the right shape. It's just slightly smaller than I need, and I don't want to have to start welding pieces together. So look, I'm going to find a supplier for some sheet steel right now, more locally than I would normally get it, because I don't need a bit, like a half a meter squared or something, and I'm going back to work. So I hope you're having fun. I'll see you soon.